Welcome back, travelers. Today we're talking about Dack Fayden's adventures in War of the Spark. This is particularly Chapter 9. Now, Dack Fayden is blue-red. That's his color combination, right? More close to red-blue, I'd say. But the point is, when he planeswalks, he appears in a puff of purple smoke. What's funny about Dack is that it actually says, amid a puff of purple smoke, Dack Fayden planeswalked to Ravnica, empty-handed and annoyed, being a thief, and 4 feet above the ground. The fact that this is a character who appears 4 feet above the ground and just like, whoops, and then he lands, I thought was brilliant, because you always think of like, okay, teleportation, time travel, planeswalking, these things, when you move, you wind up on solid ground usually. But realistically, say you're in a plane at one point and you time travel, are you going to time travel specifically to that location in the air? Are you going to time travel to that location in space? Are you going to time travel to that plane because that's where you were inside of? Where you are relative to everything else is very specific. With this one moment, Dack shows that the planeswalkers do not inherently land on land. In his case, he just landed 4 feet above. It could also be just showing that he's clumsy, that he's a goof, but he's also a master thief. So, I mean, it's kind of like saying Loki is the king of lies and deceit when all of his lies get immediately found out. Is it more just an ironic title, or is this just odd? So Dack basically just drops the names of a bunch of different artifacts, like the Blood Letter, the Grimoire of the Dead, the Seal and Stone, all these different like things. He's like, I didn't get any of it. And so I'm guessing he must have been in a museum or something right before he planeswalked and went over here. But he's talking about how he basically is in debt. He doesn't want to have to pay off his guy and all this other stuff. The fact that he's, the guy he's paying off his ores off makes it even worse. So he basically, I think it says, yeah, the Amulet of Tarantual, which is literally just tarantula, where they switch the A and the L. And he becomes Spider-Man for a few seconds while he climbs up a wall, because one of Dack's abilities is called telemetry, where he can touch something and he can siphon out the magic and the ability from it, which is exactly what he does here. To give the idea behind who Dack was as a character, basically he's from a plane called Fior, which is similar to Ravnica in the, like, it's how advanced it is, the kind of way it's set up. It looks more like a, I'd say like a Renaissance era kind of place. There's a king or queen, and there's a lot of like backstabby, Game of Thrones-y kind of characters all over the place. And Dack is from that environment. He was from a small town, I want to say it was called Drakestown, and everyone there was slaughtered, like, hard. And then their corpses were combined to form like basically a giant zombie thing. It was pretty brutal. He went on his own adventure. There was this planeswalker named Sifa Grent, who was basically just like super evil, Liliana. She had no sense of like being like sorry for what she did and all that other stuff. They get into a fight, she winds up dead. It all took place in comics. But the point is that Dack Fayden is a adventurer first, a thief second, and a hero like 10th or 12th. He just wants to figure out what's going on, maybe grab something on the way out, and then get out. The problem is that he realizes that he's trapped. Something, he doesn't know it's the Immortal Sun, something has him locked to Ravnica, and he needs to find out what it is so he can get out. So from Dack's point of view, he's able to kind of get an idea of what's going on in the spatial sense, and kind of puts into perspective the three big things that are happening. One, there's a dragon on top of a giant pyramid, and he's just kind of chilling, and then you have a statue of that same dragon in the middle of a plaza for no apparent reason, and then there's a portal, a hole into another world that is just swirling there. Nothing's really coming out of it yet. And Dack is not prepared for any of this. He's just kind of stumbling through it. Like I said, he's like Nathan Drake. He'll wind up on an adventure and he just has to deal with what goes on. This character is, I'd say, just an example of like the state of things. It's a great way to put it. And so he's been used here. He was never really used anywhere else. He doesn't even have a card that you could have used in Standard or Modern. He had one card so far that was just in that conspiracy set, which is like a whole other. That's where Fior was. He has not gotten an actual card, I'd say, that was meant for people to play in like tournaments and stuff. As far as this goes, that's this chapter. He's just there. And next chapter we'll go back to the next planeswalker, and this next one's Chandra. And so we'll see what happened to her while she was in that building where the portal just went off. So that's going to be fun. Until then, travel well.